This is the Hanging with A podcast.
What up? What up? This is the Hanging with A podcast coming to you always from Boston, Massachusetts. This is episode 51, start of season 3. Before we even get into everything, I want to say thank you to everybody who has liked the Hanging with A podcast, who has subscribed to the Hanging with A podcast. The Hanging with A podcast is officially at 10,492 subscribers. I've been working on this for 3 years, and I'm just honored and I'm very thankful that I have reached that status. Going to continue to grow, but I just want to say thank you to everybody for all your love and support. It means the world to me. I took a little break in between seasons because I got married to my beautiful wife, Morgan Elizabeth Thatcher Roberts. I love you very much. She also has been a big support for me with getting everything together with this and helping me out. So I just want to say I love you very much. You can find the Hang With A podcast on Spotify. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place, like I say all the time. My next guest is a very special guest. When I say he's an MC, I say the word MC with a lot of passion because I feel like MCs are not around. But this brother right here is doing his thing. He just put out an incredible project yesterday called Face to Face, which is unbelievable. Make sure you download that. Check that out after this interview. I'm happy that he is here with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you HD.
Beautiful people, how are you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thank you again, man, for doing this for me. Just tell the people a little bit about yourself, man. Who are you?
my name is HD from Brooklyn, New York, Clinton Hill specifically. Born and raised, grew up in a household, predominantly women who raised me, a household dominated by music. That music that I was raised by birthed me, made me who I am today. The women in that household made me who I am today, from my mom to my aunt to my grandmother. Just a child of music, a child of vision, a child of art, a child of soul, child of passion. That's what the household did to me, and this is what I become today as a child of music, and that's what HD is.
Yeah. When did you fall in love with hip hop?
I would say I fell in love with hip hop around, I'd say 2013, that range. Like I said, being in a household like such, I mostly grew up on R&B, soul, that type of music. It wasn't really so much hip hop going on in there. But I think once I started to leave the house and be around my friends, etc., that's when started, get more exposed to like just hip hop in general, rap, and most of the rap that I was hearing because I grew up in Clinton Hill was either Biggie Smalls or, Notorious B.I.G., rest in peace, and obviously Jay-Z. Those were the people who were mostly debated in the area that I grew up in, you know.
Okay.
So I'd say 2013, around that range, that's when I really fell in love with it. I still had a passion for just soul and R&B music. That was my go-to.
We're gonna come back to I want to hear your opinion because I have my opinion about Jay-Z and Biggie, but we'll come back to that at the end.
Yeah.
Um, what was the moment you knew you wanted to do music? When were you like, you know what, I'm all in on this. This is it.
It's interesting. So at that time, as I've become a fan of just rap and hip hop, I was such a Fabulous fan, and I guess because what he was saying at that time was favorable to the lifestyle that I had at that time, and the things that I
Yeah.
liked and the things that I admired, the jerseys and etc. It was just a style. And my dad had played me a Jay-Z album called the Black Album, and he
Yeah.
played a record called Falling. And I think that's what really got me really inspired to uh, be a lyricist. But more or less my dad as well, because my dad, I would see him all the time. Like, I'd come home from school, or, I'd go visit him, and, he would be like leaning over his bed, and he'd just be writing things down and he'd just be mumbling to himself. I didn't understand. I didn't know the title of it, but I knew that he was doing something extraordinary, something that he found dear to himself. And so, and that's what really got me going. Like, okay, I want to repeat, follow those footsteps. But if I'm going to be great, I got to be great, just as great as the guy he's telling me to study. And he left me in the house that day with that album, and he played that song, and then I was just like, yeah, this is the route that I want to go in. I want to be just as good as this person right here. It's something that I like more there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember when the Black Album came out in 2003. I stayed outside of Best Buy. This when CDs was a thing, and I waited in line for that album, man. So that's a very, very good body of work.
Yeah.
Being from Brooklyn, there's so many great MCs that come out of Brooklyn. Biggie, Jay-Z, Big Daddy Kane, just to name a few. When you think about, you as an MC, do you feel like it's a lot of pressure?
Not necessarily. I think because of my range, I just had this conversation the other day. I just think the range that I have is very dynamic. So just like on the album, as you've heard, is I'm on all the chorus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm on every chorus, so that just shows you the type of range that I have, where I could get on certain records and harmonize a certain way. I could do different pitches, certain way. My voice is very flexible in that sense. And I think that's the artist in me. And I think that's why I'm able to get on songs like you've heard Drug for the Night and Night Shift and, Model Goals and all those other records that are on there that are just different type of records. They're very dynamic. And I think that's why there's no pressure. And I feel like today, like you said, there's not many of MCs out right now in the commercial, channeling towards a commercial, more of style or whatever you call it, making quote unquote commercial records. You know what I mean? There's not many that can do that, know how to like diversify, where they can put lyrics into a pop record and still let it be a pop record, not just rap over the whole song to where it's like it's no longer a hit record. It's just become, inundated with just lyrics. I think that's the flexibility that I do have, which separates me, and that's why I don't have pressure as far as the MC, and then also my beat selection. I think my beat selection is which separates me as well. A lot of artists or MCs rather, get caught in just boom pap. Sometimes they just want to have a beat that they can just rap all over. And one of the things with me, I don't just, the way I hear music, the way I hear a record, the way I approach it. Some songs I will approach it with the idea of, okay, let me MC at 100% on this record. But then some other ones, I'm just like, okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me not throw too many metaphors in there and too many deep, things going on in the song. I want people to be able to get it as soon as they hear it right away. And I think I have a sort of a certain understanding of how records are made and how records are structured, which, takes that pressure off. As far as coming from Brooklyn, New York, as an MC, there's no pressure there, but I want to be the best that I can be. I want to take it to the next level. I know that Big was there, Jay had it, and so forth and so on, but I want to be the next one to carry the torch for New York City and Brooklyn specifically.
Yeah, there you go.
But no pressure, though. No pressure.
Yeah. What were some of your musical influences growing up?
Definitely Prince, Whitney, Michael, Marvin. Those were definitely the biggest influences musically, because that's what my household predominantly played. But also the Anita Bakers, also the Tony Braxtons, also the Shaka Khans. But those those five were like my biggest in music, as far as musically wise. Yeah.
Yeah. When you look around, you know what I mean? Like you said, you know what I mean? There's not too many MCs. We're gonna get to talk about your album in a minute. And the thing that I loved about it, man, I can't really put it down. Because I felt like, and I feel like Beyonce said this like a while ago. She was like, not too many artists make albums anymore. Everybody's just looking for the jingle. All right, let me just get this hit. I got this hit. I'm going to run with it. Nobody's really sitting down and caring about the art and the body of the work. The beautiful thing about your album is that you can tell from the first song to the last song, you cared about the art. You made an album. You gave us a story. You got some
Right.
tracks whenever you're telling the story. You got some tracks whenever you can have a good time. You got some soul sampling. You got some bangers on there. But the
Yeah.
beautiful thing is, I'm sitting there, I'm like, dang, like this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is what we've been waiting for. Like, so
Yeah.
when you think about being an MC, like what is it difficult when you think about this time now? What is so difficult right now? You feel like what's in the game right now?
I think what's difficult for the MC is the the production, the subject matter, um, the subject matter, definitely the production. The production, the dynamics, the artistry of it. I think that's the challenge. And again, the subject matter. I think as an MC, if you want to survive as an MC, there is a template, right? Such as what Biggie used, such as what Jay used,
Yeah,
so forth and so on, right? You have, yeah, I can rap, but what we did is on this album, okay, you can be an MCH, but only give them 12 bars.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't give them 316s on a record that's supposed to be in the club. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, don't do that to them. Don't go over the head so much. Give them eights or give them 12s and bring them right back to the hook. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
structure it whereas you can still give them metaphors, bars, punchlines, but bring them right back to one of the most important aspects of the song, which is the chorus, right? If not the first couple words of the song and the last couple words ending off into that next hook. And I think that is the challenge for a lot of MCs where they just continuously rap, and then the the way they're rapping it and also the choices of words. It's not fun. It has to be fun. It has to be relatable. It has to be words. They have to be words that everybody will say. And quotables. I think that's also important. Quotables. It's okay to show your skill as an MC, but again, you have to know how to, again, like I said, structure the song the correct way, have the right production. Because once you don't have those things, I think you set yourself up for failure. You start to give people too lengthy of a record, and then you'll give them a record where it's just overly saturated with just rapping, and there's nothing that's fun about it, nothing that's catchy about it, nothing that's relatable about it. There's no quotables. There's the subject matter is constantly being repetitive. You go into your first verse, you're talking about the same thing. You go into the second verse, and it's 16s of that. So it's like eventually people would get really tired of it. And so if you do that your whole album, you'll get to track 3 and be like, all right, I'm done. You're rapping too much.
yeah,
That can happen because you, as MCs, we get into this hole of I want to be the nicest rapper. I want to be the nicest rapper I want to be the nicest rapper. And now it's not about being the nicest rapper. It's not about how many bars you can put on a record or how long you can rap. That has nothing to do with it. It's about how many people you can get involved on a song, how many people you can go in front of and perform this record and they could repeat those words. You know what I mean? Like how many quotables you have. Like I said, those the first couple words of the record and the song and the last couple words going into the second hook are the most important because those are the things that people are going to repeat when you're performing it live. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like, and then
yep,
when you're ending off with, they're going to remember those things. Most of the time on an album, when you're an MC, people don't really remember everything that you said. So they got to go back. And how you gonna enforce that? You got to give them something that's they can play back. And that's what me and this other producer were just talking about. Westerfoot, shout out to him. He's on a record called "How You Do It." It's the playback value. Where's the playback value? What message are you trying to convey? And I think until MCs figure that out, then it'll be very difficult. And I think that's why New York, specifically Brooklyn, we haven't had an MC that has gone commercial. And I'm not saying that you got to go commercial to be successful, but at the end of the day, I mean, for me, the idea is to be a universal image as an artist, not to just be restricted to New York, Brooklyn, or the US, etc., but it's to be a global icon. And how do I do that? I have to make global music. I have to make universal music. And then you get songs like Ghetto Sunday, which is a universal song. You get songs like Model Goals, which fashionably is a universal song. It says angles, angles, pose. And that's something that every person in fashion is doing today,
Yeah.
right? Countdown to a pose, to a picture, right? Drug for the night. Those are songs that are very universal, and I think also the range of the type of music you listen to, and a lot of MCs, some people don't really listen to different genres of music. Say, I'm just going to stick to rap. I'm just going to listen to this MC and study from this MC only. You got to study from different musicians throughout different genres so you can learn how to do different melodies and different harmonizations and different subject matter, and what have you. So I think that's something that I've been able to maximize myself, and ultimately why we feel that I will be able to break the barrier as far as the MC not being able to transition out into the world, because of the music is very universal. So yeah.
No, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well said. Let's talk about the album, man. Like I said before, there's so many songs that I love on this album. I think I wrote them down somewhere. Um, um, I think How You Do It is one of my favorites. Make Things Better.
Mm.
Um, Ghetto Sunday. Face to Face. Those are some of I love the whole album, but those are some of my favorite albums. I want to talk about Make Things Better because I listened to it a few times, and you're telling a story on that. Um, in my mind, I'm thinking you're telling the story about one thing, but I want you to I want you to talk about the process of making this album, but I also want you to tell me the story that you're saying in that song because I want to see if I'm understanding it correctly. All
you,
right.
you know it's interesting that you ask it in that fashion, because what I've learned about my music, you know if I'm listening to it as someone who didn't write it, I'm always like, okay, I can perceive it this way.
Right.
There's so many ways of perception that you can receive the songs. I noticed that about the writing. When I look at it, and I really like, because a lot of times when I write, this is a little off tangent, but when I write, I don't think too hard. I don't think. It's just more like, it's just something I'm receiving is just telling me to say this. So I'm also listening and looking at my music as something, as a person that's just like, I'm also analyzing it from a different perspective outside of myself. And I get that, like, a lot of times, like, okay, what are you saying? Because I could perceive it in this way, and it'll still make sense, still resonate with me. But anyway, on Make Things Better, which is a phenomenal record, I'll tell you how the record came about. And originally, I wrote this song, and it was to uh, give me a coping mechanism with a situation that happened when I was pretty young, and I got evicted from my childhood home. My
Okay.
parents, my mom, all my family members in that house over there on Cambridge Place, between Fulton and Gates, around the corner from where Biggie Smalls was living and raised there as well. We got evicted, and I remember coming home from school. I was in high school. I was coming home from high school, and I was sitting in the living room, and everyone was sitting in the dining room, and I was just sitting there by myself. I had my hands on my face, and I was just like, man, this sucks. Like, I mean, because the energy was so low, and everyone my aunt, some people had tears, and it was just like, okay, because this is going to split up the family. Ultimately, we're going to get scattered about, right? What's going to happen to us? Because we're no longer going to be as one. We're going to be living on our own. We're going to be doing other things. We're not going to have the support, all those things. It takes a village to raise a child. We're not
Hmm.
going to have that no more. And I think that's what scared all of us. And I just felt empty. I felt like my whole body just felt like an abyss. Uh, so I had to write about it. So um, I just put myself back in that space, and I just like I said, wanted to give myself a coping mechanism and to get rid of it. I don't want to carry it with me. A lot of times when I write music, it's just to get rid of something, get rid of a feeling, get rid of an emotion, get rid of a thought, get rid of an idea, just so I don't have it in me. It's on the paper now. All I got to do is vocalize it, and that's what that song was. Um, and that's how it came about. But originally, when I wrote it, and I had got an opportunity to do a song with ASAP Ferg, and he had played the record. I was in the studio with him and Solange, and he played the beat, and I put that song that I wrote about that incident, I put it towards that record that he had. You know,
Mm.
so that's how that the song was going to be on a record called "More Than You Know." It's "More Than You Know." That was the original song that those lyrics were going to be on. And the situation with me and ASAP Ferg went sideways. And so my producer, engineer, Nosh, shout out to him, he played that beat. He had made that record probably like 8 years ago. And
Mm.
he's playing the beat for me in the studio. And I'm like, you know what? I actually have something for that. Let me try to put these lyrics, that story on this record and see how it sounds. And that's how you got to make things better. And it sounded beautiful when I first heard it, because usually when me and Nosh record, we'll go in, I'll lay down my vocals, and that's basically it. He won't touch it up or anything like that. We'll just record it just so we have it on wax. And even at that moment when we did that, it sounded beautiful. And then I was like, you know what, Nosh, let's put this on the album, because originally that song wasn't a selection to be on the album. So I told him, I said, I want to give people something to remember. I want to put people in a place where I was visually, so they can see me, but also so that they can relate, because there's plenty of people out there who have, experienced a similar adversity, but adversity in general. And so that's how that record came about. I put it to the beat that Nosh played me, which is called "Make Things Better," the original beat, and it turned out really beautiful. And what I did was, at the end of the song, I just wanted to do something more inclusive. And so that's where you get to every mother out there, to every, to the fathers out there, to the families out there experiencing difficulties or similar situations. This is ultimately for you. It's going to get better. And I think that's the motivation that people need, the encouragement to understand that there is other people out there experiencing something similar. We're never going through things by ourselves. We're
Mm.
not alone. Everyone is trying to
Yeah.
survive. Everyone is trying to survive. We just we're just probably on different levels of the mountain, but we're on our own mountain. Nobody's on the same mountain. Everybody's on a different mountain, going through different terrain, and different times. And I just wanted that song to speak to the world. And hopefully it does. And I know it will. So that's how
Yeah.
Make Things Better came
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. We definitely gotta get a video for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, also too, so the other vocals on that record is by a woman called Allegra
Yep, I
Bloom.
saw that. I saw that.
And she did an amazing job, because
Yeah, she
her
did.
vocals wasn't on there originally. It was just me. And when she put she put
Yeah, 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 yeah.
her vocals on there, I said, when I called Nosh and I said, dude, are you kidding me? He said, yeah. And then I got in the studio and I said,
Yeah,
it was just it was just inexplicable. I couldn't explain it. And that's the type of song, like, it's hard to explain it, and it always gets me in like an emotional like state, because of not just the story and not just her vocals, but also the elements that he added into that record, where you hear nature, you hear birds, you
yeah,
hear the wind, you hear the. It's just like, who does that? Who does that to a hip hop record? You have nature in the record, you have
yeah,
the angels singing in the background. It's like, it's just a
yeah.
beautiful thing. So
No,
yeah.
it was. Yeah, that's a beautiful record, man.
Yeah.
I played that back so many times because again, like, I went through the album so many times, and then like I went back through the album, just played, like, just dissect and broke down like certain tracks that I really like. How We Do It. I actually posted that song in my story.
Yeah.
Because I love that song. I love the beat because it's different. I love your flow on that. But the hook is what got me. I invested in myself. How you do it. You know what I mean? It's like it's like, the beautiful thing about that is, hey, I invested in myself. And then you also got the other part where somebody's asking, yo, like, how you do that? You know what I mean? I invested in myself. And I think that's so beautiful. Like, walk me through that, because like, when you look at all the tracks on the album, that was like, I feel like it's like two beats in one. You know what I mean? Like, the sound changes and shifts, but it's a beautiful record, man, and the
Hmm.
message is beautiful. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. If you notice on the album, it's almost, it's like every chorus is conversational.
Yep.
It's, you know what I mean? It's like it allows you to have a an opinion.
Yep.
It sparks conversation, I think, and it's communicating with you. I think that's the beautiful thing about each record, and specifically how you do it. It's like, so how do you do it? It's like you're asking, oh, I invested in myself. It's like a reminder. It's like or it's a comment. You can ask someone, how you do it? Oh, I invested in myself. It's so many
Yeah.
ways of interpreting. Like I said, the music it has so many ways of being interpreted. And I think when I heard the hook originally, that tell me how you do this, like that sample that's in there, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I'm always thinking of ways to create music that everybody can uh, relate to, vocally as well, not just physically, mentally, but vocally. What are the things people will say that's easy for them to say? That's things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis, but something that's motivational, right? Tell me how you do this. And I'm saying to myself, okay, what is the number one thing that we strive to do on a daily basis? We try to invest in ourselves, right? Whether we try to invest into stocks, real estate, our bodies, our mental, our physical, our families, etc. We're always trying to invest in ourselves. So I said, okay, let me find the best way to put that all together and put it on a record that it's not really a commercial record, right? But it has just the right amount of strength to be one because of what it's saying. And it's so universal, right? I invested in myself. And so that's where I got, okay, how you do it. And then I don't know, I just put the hook together, said I invested in yourself. And then once I did that, I was like, okay, so how did I invest in myself? Well, because I hustle this flow. Like I hustle, but like hustle and flow. Like I'm
Yeah.
Taraji.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
and then once I get going. And I'm just like, okay, I gotta elaborate on how I invest in myself. You know what I mean? Like, and that was when that first word came, like, because I hustle this flow, like I'm Taraji, new additional moves, like I your Bobby, like
Yeah.
all those things.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. And I
Yeah.
wanted to just really, on the second verse, I wanted to be more inclusive, and that's where you get, I wake up early morning and go to sleep early mornings. I was thinking about the person, the human being that wakes up early morning to go do what it is that they need to do to get a
Yeah.
head start for their day, and the
Oh,
person who goes to sleep early mornings. The last one to lead a gym and last one's to lead an office, right? Whether
yeah.
you whatever you're doing, you're the last one. You're investing in yourself. You're putting the hard work in. And so ultimately, that's how that record was created, and it turned out really beautiful. I was so ecstatic about the production. Shout out to Westerfoot, he produced that record. I was on a call with him yesterday, and it was interesting the way he came up with it. It was originally a sample, and then he just started to chop it up, and then he started to add the drums to it, and then the rest was history. And the way he was thinking when he created the record was also like for motivational purposes, and it was originally for a West Coast rapper.
Mm.
That record, it was meant to be for an East Coast rapper. So it's interesting how he thought it would be perceived and recorded over, and how I interpreted the record, but also still, a correlation with motivation and investing in yourself in some way. And I think that record just turned out really, really beautiful. The production on there, my flow on there, I knew I had to like communicate with how the beat was dropping. I couldn't rap too much on there. I wanted to give space. And the record also allowed me to have space where you get a line like I'm stutter, like fucking up these M's, like I'm stutter,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You laughing
Yeah.
at my speech impediment that I do
Yeah.
special, and utter, like, it just allowed that space on that record, and it allowed me to have flexibility and creativity in the best form, and it just turned out phenomenal. But again, I wanted to capture, the people out there who are investing in themselves on a day-to-day basis, investing in their families on a day-to-day basis, and looking and seeking to put themselves into the next levels of their lives and trying to reach their ultimate potential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, beautiful. That was a beautiful song too. And then we got the title track, Face to Face. That like when that comes on, it just feels good. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. It's just like one of those moments, man, where you like, man, like you know what I mean. I thought that this was like, I thought that this part of hip hop was gone. You know what I mean? And it just felt good. You know what I mean? It's one of my favorite tracks on there. Talk to me a little bit about that, man. Like you know what I mean? Like that track. Um, like what direction were you trying to go with that?
I think more or less, a great question actually too. And it's interesting that, again, the production, all production is completely different, even because how you do it is very, is hip hop. Face to face is hip hop, but it's two different types of feels, right? And the direction that I was channeling on face to face was a story. Like you said, you don't really hear that, right, as much anymore, like a sequence of events on a record.
Hmm.
And where it's engaging. It's not storytelling where it's like, okay, I'm tired of hearing it. Like there's still excitement to see what's gonna happen next. Right. I think that's the beautiful thing about that record, but also it's a real story. It's honest. And I think anything that you do that's honest and you have truth to it, it just makes it that much more easier for people to appreciate and for it to resonate with them. And ultimately, face to face is what culminates my whole entire uh, um, involvement with this music and the journey that I've been on since, Ghetto Sunday, you know, skyrocketed off, and all the people that I communicated with and associated with, all the trials and the tribulations, all the mistakes, disappointments, decision making, all those things that I was going through is what I put in face to face, and that's what the album is called.
Yeah,
I'm facing myself. I'm telling this story. I'm my own worst enemy for the things that I've done, and I have to be honest with myself. And it was just more like a reflection based with that record. And so you have me talking about my first producer, Noah, out in Virginia. I used to record in his basement, and he introduced me to a guy named Anthony, who is now my photographer.
mm, yeah,
Shot with Anthony, shot with Ant. Shot with Ant came along like a spider. I just did that just to play on word, like a spider. He's ready to capture my future backwards, my past slightly in reverse. The
yeah,
good, bad, the ugly, the pretty, and the hurt. And then, the victims of my choices to everybody I took turns on. I felt like it was a point in my life where I may have misuse people in a wrong way. It's like I almost was trying to apologize in those lines as well to people who I may have hurt, to women that I may have hurt in relationships emotionally, and that's in those terms. Um, I just wanted to be completely honest, and then further on, I started to talk more about my relationships in the industry with producers and also with management. Me and my previous management, we had a falling out. We broke apart, for various reasons because of another management that I had was associated with when I was 16. I got taken advantage of in that situation. I didn't know any better. I was just this young kid with these googly eyes trying to do like, hip hop music. I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't understand the business. I didn't want to understand the business. I just wanted to do music. But as I kept growing and understanding and learning in this business, that everyone is not your friend. And the most important thing that you need is not need, but you have to have genuine people around you.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that the
right.
people that I've associated with weren't genuine. I'm just saying that the results doesn't, you know, say that too
Yeah, yeah.
much.
No,
In the end results, so those are the things that I've learned. And then I also spoke about the producers that I still record with today. Shout out to Fresh Beats. He's in that record as well. And then my current situation about, getting involved with real estate and my best friend who introduced me to his dad and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of truth and honesty in that record. But I just wanted to give people a way of hearing my truth because there was a lot of circulation of my name where it was like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. It made me seem like I was the villain. And this record was more or less like, okay, let me clear the room and let me give people the whole truth, because They need the clarity. This is how I feel. This is how the artists feel. Because a lot of times, artists get taken advantage of, in this business, and the people who are who are taking advantage of them, will never or refuse to see it in that light. They just see like, oh, it's the artist looking. That person is just an opportunist. But hey, we're all opportunists.
Yeah.
You're trying to use the artist to propel you forward, and the artist trying to use you to propel him or her forward, right? We're all in the
Yeah.
same business. We're all doing it for the same reason, but it's when the hidden agendas come apart. It's when the, people can't agree. It's when the money comes in. And I spoke about that as well, where I was working with a guy who, the term for the contract was 2 years, and the amount was 200 grand, but the individual only invested 100 grand. So it was just like, and that person got mad at me when I was like, all right, so what do we do here? What are we going to do now? Because you don't want to put up another 100, and what are we doing? We agreed to two, but you only want to put up one. So what happened? So what do you expect me to do? You want me to wait around?
Yeah.
And so it was
Yeah.
just like, so those are the situations that get tricky. It's very tough, but then the management after that will use that against you to make it seem like you're the person wrong in that situation when they don't even know the real truth to that situation. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of different things. And so face to face was just like, all right, let's clear the room. Let's be real. Let me tell you what really happened, people. This is the truth. And I think that's why I named that song Face to Face again, because it was truth with myself, it's truth to the people, it's truth to the world. And when that initially was the song that got the idea of the album,
Mm.
like, because
Mm.
I called Nash, my engineer, and I was like, I want to go to the studio today. He's like, cool. It's like 7 o'clock. I'm like, perfect. So I go in the studio, and we didn't have no beat. We didn't have no record. We didn't have anything. We had other songs in the vault that we were going to put on, this potential project. But I wanted an introduction, but I didn't want it to be the intro. I wanted it to be more or less the whole, just surmising the whole album. And so he ended up playing. He was just, messing around, little by little. And the first thing he had created sounded a little bit too much like 90s boom bap. And I didn't want that. I wanted something that was like, similar, but just more invigorating, more refreshing, more new, more evolved. And that's the thing I told him. I said, let's evolve the new sound of the boom bap. And that's what he did. He came up with it. And I was just rapping in between as he's like creating the production. And then it just came. It was like, boom. That
Yeah.
was it.
No.
And then you get face to face.
Yeah, I mean the song is beautiful, man. There's so many good songs on there, man. The whole album is just incredible. And like I said before, man, you can tell. I mean, from start to finish, you know what I mean. You can see, like, that you were like, you know what? I want to bring back the essence. I want to make an album. I want to
Yeah,
make something that somebody can sit down, you know what I mean, and listen from start to finish. You can listen to that album start to finish. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And you can play it back.
Right. Because I feel like you put something on there for everybody. You know what I mean? The boom bap, all right, the people that just want to dance, do a little something. You put
Right.
something on there for every single person. But at the end of the day, you just, it's just beautifully the way that it's put together.
And
Um,
structure. And
yeah.
structure.
And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. It's like how you structure the album, how you put the songs together. That's honestly what it's all about. And I feel like, you know what I mean? The way that you put the songs together were phenomenal.
Hmm.
What are your favorite songs on the album?
Make things better.
Yeah, make things better. That's
Let
one,
me
man.
say my favorite songs are 1 through 17. I always tell my team that.
Yeah,
Those are my favorite songs right there.
yeah. You gotta.
I have to be a fan of every song, not just because I wrote it, but because uh, this is my work.
Yeah,
This is something to remember. This is my first album. This is essentially my baby right now.
yeah, yeah,
This is my first thing, and so I gave 100% effort into creating those songs, you know, uh, and each one is unique, dynamic, and diverse in its own way. Every song can stand on its own 2 feet. And that is what I wanted to ensure on that album. I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to push this as a single, you very well can. And
Yeah.
that song is going to be able to compete with any song you play today. Right now,
Oh
you
yeah.
play any song, and it's still like it can stand on its own 2 feet in the category that they will put it in. It will still stand strong. You can't knock that record down. You can't knock down how many times. You can't, knock down Ghetto Sunday. Those are strong records. Those are
Yeah.
powerful records. Each individual record you could put out you could put out on its own. And all we did was made a marriage. We brought them all together and we let them have their own space on the album. That's why we didn't put How You Do It and Face to Face next to each other. That makes no sense. That's too much. You
Yeah.
can't do that. You gotta, and if you're gonna do, yeah, you can't do it. And there's no way that if you're gonna do it because it'll start to bore people as soon as they hear it. It's like
Yeah.
two hip hop records back to. It's like okay, you got to think about the people in the suburbs. You got to think about the people overseas. You got to think about the people in the club. You got to think about all these individuals and how you're listening to it into a car, how you're listening to it on a road trip, how you're listening to it on a plane. Okay, I'm going to hear the intro, but right after the intro, I don't want another similar like record. I need to get up now. Like, take me up,
Yeah.
bring me high now. And
Yeah.
that's the formula that what I was using. I wanted to, you know, start you here, and then I want to take you here, and then come back down, and then take you here a little bit, and then come back down, and then take you
Yeah.
high, and then take you further, and then take you further, and then bring you back down, and then
Yeah.
take you up again. So I wanted to put you on this roller coaster of
Yeah.
emotion. It's
Yeah.
like when you're on a roller coaster, if it's all straight, you're gonna get bored.
Yeah.
You got to go through a drop, right? And then it goes, and then it come back up, and then you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's the
Yeah.
same way. I call it the roller coaster effect. I can't
That's
tell too many
definitely.
people they can copy it now.
Nah, that's definitely. I mean, that's definitely how it feels, man. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a great album, man. It's a great album. Thank you for sharing that with us, man, because
absolutely.
you can tell, man, that you just put your heart and soul into that, man, and just thank you, man, for just breaking it down for me, man, and just talking about it
Absolutely.
because it's an important piece of hip hop right now, man. And, like I said at the start of this, um, people making albums, man, you just don't see that enough.
Right.
Um,
And they try to put so many songs on it. And it's like, I'm going to put 1 million songs. I'm just exaggerating, but 1,000 songs just cause. It's like, okay, what are you trying to convey? What are you doing there? Nobody's
yeah,
going to listen to 30 songs. It's like, it's crazy.
right,
You saw, like, Michael wasn't even putting out 30 songs on his album. You know what I mean? It's like, it makes no
yeah,
sense. It's
no,
crazy.
you
Make
got to
good
say,
music and give it
yeah,
to him, you know, in the best form and fashion. You don't have to give them 100 songs because how are you going to listen? Then you got to, and then how are you going to structure that? How do you structure 30 plus songs? How do you do that? Or 20? That's crazy to me. How do you, after a while, it's like people, and the attention span of people today is like, it's very minimal. So and if you, and knowing that, I knew I had, a lot of those songs on there are not long. If you notice, they're like two
yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
like 2 minutes. I'm not giving you three verses. Like I said, the emceeing. I'm not going to give you three verses and three hooks. I'm going to give you three hooks, a bridge, and two 8 bars and call it a day, and I'm out.
yeah,
Just enough so you can still hear my ability to MC, but then you can have fun. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that what Big mastered so well. You know, he can rap, he could have all these things as an MC, but then I can give you those club hits, those hit records. And that's what we're in the business of doing, making hit records. We want to make, music that can change lives, you
yeah.
know,
No,
not
and
just
I mean,
music you just listen to in the car and say, oh, I'm the nicest rapper in the neighborhood. Cool. But who is listening to you?
yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, no, I love that, man. I definitely love that, man, and and that's what you did. That's what you gave us, man, and
Right.
you know what I mean. Everybody out there, man, make sure however you get your music, make sure if you stream your music, stream this album, man, Face to Face by HD, man, because it's a classic, and he did his thing on this, man. So thank you. You know what I mean? Because for
Absolutely.
somebody that just keeps his ear. I keep my ear to hip hop, man. I'm always looking for something. And you know what I mean? I love the direction that a lot of the MCs that I'm tapped into, I love the direction that a lot of you guys are going in.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate that. I'm gonna give you
Absolutely.
a couple of quick hitters, man, before I let you go. Top 5 rappers dead or alive.
Hmm. My top five. Jay,
Yeah.
Big,
Yeah.
Jada,
Okay.
Wayne,
Okay.
um, man, wow. This is a hard one. I would say M.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I'm going off of like just lyrical capabilities,
Yeah.
records.
Damn. Huh. I
Yeah.
yeah, I
I mean,
actually
in this, I'm a student of M, and that's why I say that. I studied a lot. It was a period of my life where I just listened to straight Eminem, like strictly just only Eminem albums. I just listened to, that's it. And he's, incredibly gifted, incredibly talented. Um, I haven't heard anything like that. But it's every those people that I just those greats that I just named. They all have a unique way. They all have their own unique niche about them, which makes them great. Um, there, and if you can study those five, you'll be great.
yeah, no, I
You
like
know,
yeah, no, I like that five. That's a
Wayne
strong
is
five.
incredible. I love Wayne.
Yeah.
He's.
Yeah.
Oh, if there was anybody I could do a feature with, it would be Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
Definitely.
Wayne to be
Yeah.
somebody that you would want to collaborate with. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I
And it
like
would
that.
make sense for me as an art. It would make sense.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
feature
I can
that
see
would
that.
make sense.
No, I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that one. 10 people. If you could invite 10 people to a dinner, dead or alive, who you invite?
10 people.
I ask everybody this question. I love it. I gotta
Wow. It would be
ask
Prince.
Prince. Okay.
It would be Whitney. It would be
Whitney. Okay.
Michael. It would be Marvin.
Yep.
It would be Mary.
Uh,
That's six, right? I'm on six.
that's 6. Yep.
I would invite Aaliyah. I would invite Tony Braxton. I would invite my mentor, uh, Francis. I would invite my mom, my dad. Are we talking? I can't. It's got to be musicians, or it can't. It
No, it could
can't.
be anybody. Anybody.
Anybody.
Anybody you want. Show dinner.
Uh, and I would invite my engineer.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
trying to
I like.
set it up.
Yeah. 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 No, I see what you're doing there.
You
Yeah. I
know what I'm
like
saying? I'm
that.
trying to set it up.
Yeah. I like that. I
I'm
like
trying to
that.
create an album out of this dinner. You know what I mean? Like that would be crazy. Like,
No, I like that. I like
yeah.
that. What would an older version of yourself tell a younger version of yourself?
Continue to make the ultimate sacrifice
Mm. Okay.
and go with what you feel. Always, just go with what you feel. Uh, because we all have that God given feeling inside of us, which is what drives us. Like your thoughts, your mind is a powerful thing, and that's very important. But sometimes your mind can be your worst enemy because you can overthink it.
Mm.
Your creativity, you can overthink a lot of things. You can overthink that gut feeling. Sometimes you may say, I feel that's the right thing to do, but let me do it. My brain is telling me, let me do it. I'm overthinking it. Let me just do it anyway. You know, they're both friends, your thoughts, your feelings, but my feelings for me is what is getting me through life. And it's what got me out of near fatal situations. You know, like I don't feel I should stay in Brooklyn because I feel not I think like I feel that's just not a good time. It's not a good time for me to be there right now. I feel I need to be. A lot of the things that I do comes out of what I'm feeling. Even with my art, I don't. If I overthink and it'll never happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
if if I always went with my thoughts, I would just take every beat. And because let me say, I want to just do all these records. I want to have 100 songs done by next month. So let me just do all these beats. I don't feel the right song. If I don't feel it, I'm not going to do it. So
Yeah.
I would tell myself, just continue to, move through life off your feelings, and make the ultimate sacrifice. Never be afraid to make the ultimate sacrifice for what is right.
No, I love that.
And I would also say that while you are in this life making the ultimate sacrifice to do what it is that is the right thing for yourself, know that you're going to get crucified while doing it.
Mm, mm.
You will get crucified. Sacrificing doing it is what you love.
No, I love that. I love that.
However, if you can make it through that crucifixion on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
people will believe you eventually. They will believe you. That's what that whole process of going through the valleys and, that's what that's all about.
Yeah,
You got to go through that. I got to go through people saying no's and, oh, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work. And you can't have this. You can't do this. I got to go through all of that. Oh, we don't want, I got to go through these things.
yeah,
This is what I'm sacrificing my life for,
yeah. No, I love that. No, I absolutely love that. Um, yeah, I love that. Thank you for that response.
Yeah.
Um, what's next for you, man? Like, what do you got planned? What do you got planned for the album? Like, what's next for you?
I'm glad you asked that. So I want to definitely tell the fans that the next thing we're going to do is a street tour.
Mm,
I don't want to give too much information because I don't want to tell too much and then I see somebody else doing it. But we're going to do a street tour and it's going to be phenomenal. We're just going to add
oh
something
yeah,
different to the industry, something
yeah. No,
different to
I
the
can't
game,
wait.
different for hip hop. I may be out there in Boston. You
Yeah, let
never
me know,
know,
man. Hit
but it's
me
going to
up,
be
man.
dope. It's going to
Yeah,
be
hit me
dope.
up.
So the next thing
Nah,
is
hit
do a
me up.
street
You come
tour.
out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you come out this way. Come out this way, man. Let me know, man, because I would love to see you, man, and see you perform and do your thing, man. So definitely let me know, because I'm out
Absolutely,
here.
we'll let you know. We got some shows coming up with Hype Magazine. One, possibly another one coming up with Major Stage. We had to cancel the first one, but we're going to be planning the next. I'm going to be in Atlanta on the 27th. Got some visuals coming out. Check Up, which is a big record, as you know,
Yeah,
that's coming out. Um, and also, I think one of the most commercial songs on there is Model Goals Angles
yeah,
because
yeah,
of we're in a world where everyone is taking pictures. Photography is at an all-time high. Fashion, modeling, that's a lot of the social media now. I want to say from what I see, like 95% of social media is like, so I just think the music, that song just cultivates the whole fashion industry, and it's very user friendly, right, where it can be utilized on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And I didn't make it for that purpose. I made it with the mindset of, okay, how do I brand this song, or how can a brand utilize this song for their brand? How can they put this song in a commercial? Yes, they can. It's saying angles, 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 pose. Like that's something that's the model industry,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I really
True.
believe that song is going to be probably one of my most biggest records.
Yeah,
And what we're doing is we're actually going to be branding the song itself, branding the song, whereas, have its own social media platform. And the idea is to make that record the theme song, the backdrop for the fashion industry and for the apparel, and that's what that song is going to be, and that's what we're going to be focusing on throughout. But honestly, with all the song, we just want to give people visuals, as many as we can from the album,
yeah,
and ultimately toward the album, and allow this to be the album that gives us enough leverage to where we can go ahead and put ourselves in a situation where now we can get an extensive amount of capital to go to the next level, which
yeah,
is to do the universal tours for the next years and drop another album and an album after that and so forth and so on.
yeah, man. I mean, I definitely see that for you, man. Like I said, when I started following you about a year ago, man, I was like, man, whatever it is that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm just happy that I get the front row seat to that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You already know, man. You know, you got my connection. You got my number. You know what I mean? You ever want to do this again? You want to do it in person? You just let me know, man. I'm a
We
fan.
got to do it in person. Let's schedule
Yeah,
something for in person.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I love what you're doing, man. I love what
Thank
you're
you.
doing. And and I want you to win, bro. I want you to win.
Thank you.
And whatever I can do on my end, you let me know, man. Whatever I can do on my end for you, you let me know. Shout out to Eric, man, because Eric's been so good in this situation. So I want to give him some love. Shout out to him.
Absolutely.
Shout out to everybody who worked on your album, man, because they did a
Yep.
beautiful
Shout out to
job.
all. Yep.
It's a great body of work. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let me
Concur
know,
with
man,
that.
because
Yeah. Shout out to all the producers. Shout
I
out to
just
TK, my team member. Shout out to Eric,
I just
Fresco.
got
Shout out
a
with Ant,
I just
Nosh.
got a record. I just got a record player, man, for Christmas. So if you come out with that on vinyl, you gotta send that to
Yeah.
me. You gotta sign your name on that for me, man, and send it to me.
Absolutely. We got some memorabilia coming out soon.
Yeah, let me
Oh
know,
yeah.
man. Sign it, man, and send it my way, man. I definitely would love to have that, man. But
Copy that.
before I let you go, man, like what advice would you give me?
Believe in what you're doing. Keep going with it. Stick with it.
Thank you.
Let the people hear it.
Yeah,
Uh, Reach out. Pitch. You know,
yeah,
that's an important thing to pitch your brand.
yeah.
Collab with brands.
Okay.
Make relationships. But I think the one, like I said, pitch your brand and try to collab. You know, we're all in it together. We're all trying to make, people need people at the end of the day. So you can ultimately, like, for an example, you can be successful in this box. But if you're only successful in this box, then you're just going in a circle and then you're creating a bigger circle. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm much stronger now. I'm doing this now. But like, you're just creating a small circle. And then that circle becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're only going in circles. You're in your own circle of it. You only here. But the
Yeah,
idea is to grow here,
yeah,
go here. You have to make the triangle connection. You have to make the square. You have to make the octagon. You have to do, it's the shapes of life, right? A lot of times we get caught up in being successful at one thing or doing one thing that, eventually we're just going in the same circle. We think we're getting somewhere because we were able to do this the second time. It's like, all right, cool. You did it the second time. Now what? But did you meet another individual in your field in another country that's doing the same thing that you do? How can you guys collab to make an even bigger impact? You know what I mean? So how to use the shapes of life, to your advantage. And I think that's something that I would recommend to anyone,
no.
you
Thank
know,
you very much.
and
Thank you
that's what I
very
told
much.
myself. Like, don't get caught just here. You got to go out. You got to fetch. You got to seek. You got to pitch. You got to talk. You got to speak. You have to allow, and that's why the idea came about, not just dropping the album, but sending the album to over 400 plus DJs. I took the time, my team and I took the time every night to send emails to DJs with the album, with the clean, the explicit, and the vocals. Here you go. Appreciate you before the release date. Pitching to brands. Hey, how can you guys utilize my song in your commercial or your brand? Pitching it to hotels, pitching it to different agencies, just all those things that artists don't see, but you got to pitch your brand. Got to
Yeah.
collaborate. That's how we get further, and that's how we get more exposure, by collabing. You
No,
know? Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much for being part of episode 51.
absolutely.
Um, y'all out there, man, make sure y'all tap in. Face to Face is out now everywhere on every platform. Do yourself a favor, man, and go download that.